The Ancients' World. Chapter 191, The Heist of Bellvia 16. We exit the secret tunnel and into the underground city. Parties are happening all over like last time we came through here. I don't want to spend any time in this place. The animals in these cesspools make me sick. Rapists, murderers, total scum. It's not my place to be their judge and executioner. There is a balance of good and evil everywhere you look. No one can deny that, and people like to believe there are no sides. Eventually, you will have to pick one. Everyone does. Let's avoid any of the places with parties coming out of them. We know where the exit is, so no need to follow the road. Sally nods her head in agreement, and we use the alleyways between the buildings. It takes us a little bit longer than I'd like it to, but we make it to the entrance we came through last time. We start walking down the tunnel, and the noise from all the parties fades. I take in the silence and enjoy it. I hate parties. Many bad things can happen at them, and I want nothing to do with that lifestyle. What are we doing next after we are done here? Sally asks me an important question right out of the blue. I have contemplated what we could do. The thing after this is heading back to the Dryads and freeing them. After that, I'd have completed all my relevant quests. Aside from the tier-up quest, I'm going to get nothing immediate springs up. So that leaves what Sally wants to do. I know she wants revenge on the elven people, and I do have a quest regarding her past. Asking her what she wants to do is what I should do here. I roll my neck, releasing any built-up tension. What do you want, Sally? After we are done here in Belvia, the Dryads need to be freed. Once that's done, I don't have any immediate things that need finished. So what do you want? She looks slightly taken aback by my words. I guess she never really did get a say on what we are doing and where we are going. I watch her look at the ground in sadness. She must be thinking about her early life and mother. There is a lot of pain in her heart. I have no intention of telling her that forgiving them will help. 'Cause I don't know if it would, I wouldn't feel better. She has had a much harder life than me, so she probably doesn't have the want to forgive either. I've learned so much about Sally, but I still know very little about her life. I want to take revenge on the elves. I want the royal family to suffer for what they have allowed to pass and thrive. I want to avenge my mother. Those are the things I want. Zirn, I know they are all very tall orders to fill, but I have the power to do it now. When she finishes speaking, I get a notification from the system. It's definitely about her quest, but I'm not going to look right now. My attention needs to be on Sally, and talking about all this is hurting her, I can see it. Will you help me after we are done with the Dryads? I nod my head with confidence and give a smile supporting her choice. Revenge is a path that isn't selected often, but sometimes a person's transgressions are so great it's the only choice you have. In this case, it's an entire ruling family of the strongest race on Gaia. She smiles at my determination, and it reinforces her confidence. We walk for another 15 minutes and eventually make it outside through the same entrance we came into the city with. There are guards like last time, but they don't ask or say anything. We walk away and eventually get out of sight. Once we get 2 miles out, we'll wait till the sun starts to rise. I'll have to activate something before we leave, though. She looks at me with curiosity. I was unintentionally cryptic. I'll activate my title. You know that some of the world's strongest people have titles. I have one too. It signifies my connection to my father. She nods her head in understanding. Some NPCs around Gaia are notorious with powerful titles, but none of them are like mine. We walk in the dark, chilly woods, and that's when I notice that it's a little colder tonight than usual. I like it. I'm a cold person anyway. Even being born and raised in LA, I still prefer the cold. I think about all the things that I witnessed growing up in LA. These tall trees remind me of a forest I used to visit growing up. They called them redwoods, some of the most amazing trees. Most of the forest in which they resided died from pollution, but some were alive long enough to see them. Thinking back to those car trips before Marcus was born brings back a lot of memories. The Earth must be a better place without us, and if it does survive and recover while we are gone, then the life that's left might have a chance. Sally looks at me and is waiting for me to keep talking. The world we knew people come from is called Earth. It was a beautiful world at one point, but we ended up killing it. Its fate was sealed before I was born, but now that we aren't there, it might have a chance. Sally gives me a solemn look and reaches for my hand with hers. She runs her fingers down my palm and interlocks her fingers with mine. She leans her shoulder against mine as we walk. She is taller than most women at 5'10", but I'm still much taller than she is. Her elf half makes her taller than human females. I wonder who her father is? She said that it was a bandit that forced himself on her mother. I don't even know how she'll become comfortable enough to talk about this subject. When she is, I'll be ready to listen and help any way she wants me to. I'm really happy that you shared something about where you come from. Thanks for trusting me enough to talk about that. Sally speaks as she leans on me as we walk. I realize something about being with Sally. I can talk about my life with her. She makes it easy. I don't know what that means, but I think it's good. Once we reach the spot, can you set up the tent? I want to get a few hours of sleep before we do any of this. I nod my head, and we continue walking through the dark woods. I'm not scared of anything possibly out here. Anything we run into, we can kill if we work together. I doubt anything is that strong near a capital city, though. After walking through the woods for a couple of hours, we stop on the side of a hill with a perfect view of Belvia. Even far away, it looks rotten on that cliffside. I set up the tent for Sally, and she immediately crawls in and cuddles the furs and blankets. I take a seat on a log by the tent and stare out to the vast forest and city. I don't know how a kingdom could last so long. I talk to myself out loud, entertaining the silence. The stars are out tonight, bright and beautiful. A scene you would never see on Earth. It takes my breath away and makes all my goals seem so small. Now that I have some time to myself, I pull up Sally's quest and begin to read the new information. It's an honor that I get to help her with this task. Sally's past. Description: help Sally in her quest for vengeance against all the men that tortured and sexually assaulted her growing up. Help her punish the Elven Kingdom for their ways. Objective 1: when the time comes, Sally will ask you for your direct help in this matter. Completed. Objective 2: once everything is done with your quest involving the Dryads, ask Sally what the first step in her revenge is. Rewards: unknown. Difficulty: legendary. Note: the great difficulty of this quest is the goals that Sally has set in revenge. If they weren't so great, then the difficulty wouldn't be so high. The new objective explains that Sally is the one doing this quest. I'm just going to be helping her, and that's perfectly fine with me. She must need this to do all the planning and plotting by herself. She knows her enemies better than I would, so all I have to do is ask once we are done with the Dryads. I can never know what you went through, but I'll do my damnedest to understand. A painful life like yours should never happen. I speak aloud again as I think about the information Sally has told me. Come first light. We'll be heading for that city again. This time I won't be hiding. I wonder what the experience will be like. Chapter 192, The Heist of Bellvia 17. I stare into the fire that I made a few hours ago and contemplate what's about to happen. I can't sleep because I'm too antsy right now. The moment that I have tried to avoid at this time is going to happen. I look towards the tent and see through the little crack a sleeping Sally. Only a couple more hours till sunrise, and the more I think about it, the more I resent it. It's always been unavoidable. I don't like the thought of being elevated. I'm not someone who should. I'm capable of cold-blooded murder, after all. I suffer no consequences. In truth, I should be hanged for the innocent people I've killed. Innocent in the eyes of the law. After all, Lady Justice is blind, which is why people have to see for her. Which is in itself very bad, not something I would say works. I take a deep breath and go over the plan in my head to be safe. I'll be able to distract them for however long I want, but the limit we put on the heist is dusk. I close my eyes and drown out all sound. I think about what the future holds. I have a foreboding feeling these old gods will be making a grand entrance soon. I don't know what will happen when this event occurs. Everything is already far from the original timeline. So I can't say what the future holds. I wonder how my family is doing in all of this. Mom and Dad are probably getting close to their classes themselves. Haley is probably off causing trouble somewhere. I haven't gained any EXP in some time now. I bet people are right on my heels now in terms of levels. I lean against the log I was sitting on and rest my head against it. I keep my eyes closed and relax. Most of the people I knew are either dead or lost in this world. I have no idea what I can do to get into contact with my family. This whole situation feels like a dream sometimes, like I'll wake up from it at any moment. Just to be reminded, this is the new reality I live in. A new world. Different rules and lifestyles. I clear my head of those thoughts and think about the possible repercussions this will have. They might find out my next destination is the Dryads after this, and they'll be waiting there for me. That is just something I'll have to deal with. No one can prevent everything. There are certain things that I can't stop from happening, and that's okay. The time I have spent here, both this life and my last, have made me into someone totally different. How cowardly to only gain strength after I lost every I could protect. That cowardice is what brought me here. Back into the past and now forever stuck in Ancient's world. Gaia. I stop dwelling on the past and think about all the good I've come across since my wish. Sorry for stealing what was yours, Blue Chaos. You will never know the sins I have committed stealing what was supposed to be yours. You still up? I hear a voice from the direction of the tent, and I open my eyes. Sally is sticking her head out and looking at me with concern. You know it's much warmer in here, even though the cold doesn't affect either of us. I smile at her proposition. I shake my head in decline, though. I'd rather be out here with the stars and city in view. She climbs out of the tent and comes over by the fire with me. She sits next to me and cuddles into my side. I toggle my wings on and wrap the one on her side around her. She runs her fingers through them, and I can feel every sensation. It truly feels wonderful. When we have both accomplished what we set out to do, what are we going to do then? Sally asks me a question I have only thought about a few times. In truth, I never saw an end to this journey of mine. There are always quests to do, things to save. With me around, I will cause problems I have to fix. So I don't know the answer to that, only that once we are done, we'll surely see other things popping up in our wake. The night passes as I think about these things and have small talk with Sally. Soon the sun is just starting to paint the sky in color. I stand up, and so does Sally. As an insomniac, I have no problems not sleeping. I stretch, and my body pops. I stretch out my wings too, and it feels good to do so. I walk over to the tent as Sally stretches herself. I take everything down and put it all in my inventory. There are only a couple more things to do. The first thing I do is put my hood in my inventory. The next is to open my player interface and look at my list of titles. I click on the Son of Archangel Michael title, and I get the same warning as last time. I activate it, and I look towards Sally. She is looking at the area above my head with amazement. It looks so beautiful I don't have a mirror to see. I unsheath the witness and look at my reflection. There is a turquoise title above my head with light shimmers saying the Son of Archangel Michael. It gives off a transcendent feeling when looking at it. I look at Sally and see she isn't affected by all the things it said would happen. It could be because of our relationship. This is it, Sally. If you don't want to keep your hood on, you don't have to, but I suggest you do so when we start your revenge. This doesn't come back to bite us. She gives a thinking look, and I watch her slide her hood on with a smile. Going with hiding the identity, I like it. Alright, let's shock the city of Belvia. I kneel and let her climb on my back. I launch off the ground and soar really high. I slow down as I'm already getting close to the city walls. I see the gate to the city up ahead, and I start to descend fast. I hit the ground hard at the back of the small line today, and the ground cracks and rumbles beneath me. I stand straight up and let Sally off. I stretch my wings out with authority, and many people around me don't know how to react. Most are stuck in place, not moving a muscle. I look to the guards at the gate, and they start shaking. I see everyone's eyes darting between my wings and the title above my head. A path in front of me forms, and I begin to walk towards the front gate. As I do, people get on their knees and bow, putting their faces in the dirt. My wings are giving off an intimidating feel with their large size and golden beauty. I can see in the guards' faces as I approach. Who I assume is the captain at this time orders one of his men into the city. Once I reach the front of the line and stare down at the guardsman and captain, I take a breath. I watch them stiffen as I do so. What can we do for you, my lord? The guard captain speaks with fear and bewilderment laced in his voice. I look to Sally, and she closes her eyes and tells the rest of the crew to start through her dummies. She can do it telepathically. She raises her head and nods at me with a hood still covering her features. After another second, I look back at the guard captain, and I watch him go pale in the face as he kneels on the ground himself and puts his face in the dirt. This is weird to see, not going to lie. I walk past him and into the city with Sally right behind me. As I do, regular people see me, and their reactions are exactly what was warned. Many kneel and plant themselves in the dirt, and many poor or sick people come rushing over, admiring my wings and my title above my head, hesitating if they should reach out and touch. You damn peasants! Step away from the son of Archangel Michael! A group of soldiers and an official from this city's church come rushing towards the forming crowd and me. They listen and make a path for the official. The soldiers move the people away from me with their weapons. The captain of the soldiers who said that looks around in pure anger. The church official next to him raises his hand, and that calms him down. This is going to be interesting for sure. The church official turns to me and kneels in front of me. Everyone around me follows suit, including the guards. This is going to be a long distraction. Chapter 193, The Heist of Belvia 18. I look down at the kneeling church official, and I sigh. Take me to the king. Now. Many people flinch at the seriousness of my voice. I don't know much about the ruling family of Belvia, only that a man rules it. I hear no reason from the people kneeling. To make him answer faster, I use just a little bit of my divine pressure skill. Many slightly indent the ground. Sally is having a hard time just standing. Take me to him now. I stop using the skill, and I hear everyone take deep breaths. The church official raises his head and looks at me from the ground. I can see many emotions run across his face, the most common being fear. His eyes dart between my face, wings, and title. I squat down and look him in his eyes. If you are too scared to move, then you can stay there. I stand up and turn towards the palace. I begin to walk towards it, and no one gets up to interfere. As I walk the main road to the far-off palace, the people begin to act weird. Many kneel on the ground as I pass, and others begin to follow, whispering to one another. They reach out to touch me, only to pull back in hesitation. After walking the road for a couple of seconds, I hear the sound of horseshoes clicking on the stone road. I look ahead, and I see several high-ranking soldiers heading my way. A commander is leading it without a helmet. I see his face change as he sees me. The group stops and blocks the road up ahead. They all get off their horses and stand in formation. The commander gets stiff and into a military position as I approach. As if addressing me as a superior officer. I eventually get close enough for us to have a conversation. He gives a hard look to the people following behind me. I would fly to the palace, but I'm buying as much time as possible for the crew to do what they need to do. I look at the man, and he gets on one knee with a hand over his heart. The soldiers follow suit and bow just like him. They aren't putting their faces in the dirt, which is nice. "My lord, what can I do to help you?" He raises his head and stares at my title, his eyes trail over my wings. I look over him and his soldiers. They must have been sent by the royalty and nobles to buy some time to prepare for my arrival. I wonder what is going through the heads of the people in the palace by now. Word has already spread, more and more people are showing up. They are coming out of the alleyways and streets to see if it's true. Every second that passes, more and more people show up. I'm heading to the palace. You can get out of the way, or you can continue to buy time for them and die. He flinches at my words and begins to shake. Many people begin to whisper as the ones close enough heard my words. The commander stands up on shaky legs and steps to the side. His soldiers follow suit and make a path. I walk through the path with Sally by my side. The people try to follow me through. The soldiers prevent them. I look ahead and see another crowd of people already making their way to me. This is buying a lot of time for them. Hopefully, everything is going okay on their end. I continue my calm walk, and Sally stays at my side. I'm nervous about what will happen once we reach the palace. I look at Sally and notice that her body is more stiff than usual. I can't see her face due to the hood, but I can deduce she is worried. I smile at her just a little and nod my head in reassurance. We make it to the new crowd and continue walking as a circle forms around us. The palace is still a bit of a walk away, but not that long. We walk in silence, and with every step, I take more and more people are showing up. As the crowd gets bigger, I hear shouting from a man to clear the way. I can see that the people in front of me are being pushed aside. The shouts to move get louder as the man gets closer. Soon he in front of me clutching a sick-looking little girl, most likely his daughter. Once in front, he gets on his knees and begins to cry. "Please, I beg of you, save my little girl, she's all I have left." The man holds her close as he says that. I look at him, and the little girl Sally tugs on the end of my leather chest piece. I don't have any healing abilities. All I have are offensive and defensive skills, as I think that a system message shows up in my messages. I open it and begin to read. What I read is surprising, to say the least. I never knew this power existed with my title. Basically, when my title is activated, I have access to special non-offensive powers. Many of them are the best healing skills and cure skills. I look at the most powerful healing skill known in Ancient's world. Revive life force and cure all, special active. Description: the strongest healing spell in all of Gaia. It replenishes a person's missing life force to full and heals all wounds instantly. It also cures all diseases. Note: only available when the title, the Son of Archangel Michael, is being used. Note: no mana cost. Note: will disappear from skills once the title is hidden again. I look at the man and see the begging and pleading in his eyes. I squat in front of him and place my hand on the girl's head. I use the skill, and she is filled with a bright golden light that fades soon after I touch her. The girl is no longer thin and frail looking and is now a healthy tan. Her eyes flutter open, and she looks into her father's eyes. "Hey, Daddy, I feel much better now." The girl is no older than 9. He weeps even harder and hugs her. She wraps her tiny arms around him and smiles as they hug. Many whispers and small praises are said from the surrounding crowd. He looks back up to me as I stand and puts his head in the dirt while still holding his daughter. She has a confused look on her face. I walk past the man and continue to the palace. It was not something I anticipated, but I did enjoy that. We walk for the next 3 minutes until we arrive at the massive metal gate separating the palace and the city. The crowd moves out of the way, and I look into the massive yard. High-ranking nobles and soldiers are waiting in extravagant robes and silks. Many women are dressed in amazing clothes, and men are wearing powerful armor of epic grade quality. The guards on the other side of the gate don't know whether to let me in or kneel. I pick up Sally and flap my wings once, and easily jump over the wooden gate. This simple action was enough to intimidate the people waiting in front of me. The people on the other side of the gate begin to beg to be let in. I let Sally go and begin walking to the nobles and generals waiting for me. As I get closer, they get off their horses and do modest bows. They out one arm in front of them and one arm behind them and bow forward slightly. I stop and stare at them as they raise their heads. Many have faces that are both full of fear and the seeking of opportunity. "My lord, welcome to the palace of Blazier. We are both humbled and overjoyed by your visit." A noble of high rank steps forward. Some of the people's faces twist in anger and disapproval. He walks forward and holds his hand out while lowering his head. "My name is Leonard Varincesses. I'm one of 3 dukes here in Belvia." I reach my hand out and shake his. I admire he isn't cowering in front of me right now. That's worth a handshake. I take a breath and stare him in the eyes. "I'm Zirn, the son of Archangel Michael. Nice to meet you." His face slightly pales as I say my title and ranking. Perhaps a duke can get me to see the king right now. Unfortunately, I don't even know the name of the king. So you can start by helping me with that. Many faces pale at my words. How insignificant they really are to me sinks in. In the presence of someone like me, their ranks mean nothing. He nods his head and stands straight up. He takes a small breath and calmly looks me in the eyes as well. "The king's name is Kleger Ren Blazier IV. He has 2 sons and 4 daughters, all of whom are waiting for you in the palace's throne room." I look towards the palace doors and smile to myself. Now is the time I get to find out information about the Dryads and Ulma Runa. Bring these quests to their ends. Chapter 194, The Heist of Belvia 19. Duke Leonard is the only noble who is brave enough to talk to me. I look at them individually and see that most are rather young. Only the soldiers are old, most rank at general. I'm going inside. Let me warn you. I'm not a fan of politics. Refrain from asking me anything related to that. Duke Leonard nods his head and steps aside. The rest of the nobles do as well. I walk towards the massive doors. Once in front of them, I place my hand on the handles and push them open. As the door opens, I see that a red carpet and many guards are lining the side, all wearing decorative armor. I begin to walk, and to my extreme annoyance, they begin to play trumpet music. I can tolerate it for the mission as much as I don't want to. Many nobles that are gathered in the room are lined up near the throne facing me. The looks on their faces are the same as the rest I've seen. I look towards the throne, and I see a very nervous-looking Kleger. The trumpets stop, and I continue to walk, many in the room staring at my title and wings, and bow in respect as I get close to them. I stop in front of the throne before the steps that lead up to it. I notice he doesn't have a queen, so I assume he has multiple lovers. I stare at the king and notice him sweating. He stands up from his chair and bows in respect. I look at the kids behind him and see the children I was told about. A few of them are my age, but most are younger. I start to climb the steps, and after I reach the top, I stare down at the shorter king. Many are worried I might strike out. No one is brave enough to voice their concerns, though. "You are going to help me with something, Kleger? You will cooperate, or you will die." I hear small gasps coming from the nobles at the bottom of the stairs. He looks at me with hesitation and fear. I watch him take a gulp. He nods his head in compliance. "I want all your secrets and information on a female mage by the name of Ulma Runa, as well as what you are hiding about the Dryads." I watch his face contort through many different things. All of them are not working in his favor. So he is aware of the sins his kingdoms committed long ago. This works out for me. I won't have to find out who does in this palace. He is starting to shake in fear, but I don't know if it's from me or the secrets being known. I'm sorry I can't answer those questions for you. He is stupider than I thought. My left wing pins him against the throne, and my right wing's feathers are held against his neck. Small drips of blood begin to show. Many of the nobles and soldiers behind me shuffle and reach for their weapons, but they realize who I am again. They stop before making that mistake. If the world knew about that, Belvia would become an enemy for all. Belvia's fate isn't my concern. I stop pinning him to the throne, and I lift him with one hand by his neck. He gasps for air. I look at his children and see the horror on their faces. Please, not in front. He chokes out some words. So that's his weakness. I throw him to the bottom of the steps, and I go for the daughter he was staring at when he said that. His favorite, I bet. I pick her up by her neck too. Her older brothers try to stop me, but I fling them against the wall with my wings. Their impact indents the wall, and they fall unconscious. Sometimes, the proper motivation is needed. Suppose you will not tell me what I want to know about Ulma, Runa and the Dryads. Then your daughter's head will be crushed before your very eyes. If that doesn't motivate you, I can continue down the line of your children. Sally's demeanor is not what it usually is. She sees the human side of me for the first time, the one that she failed to see. He looks at me in horror and gets on his hands and knees as his crown lay at his side. Everyone in the room is frozen in fear. Not one is moving a muscle. No one is trying to help the king or his precious favorite in my grasp. I beg of you. Let her go. She is innocent in all of this. How can you be so cruel? As an angel, you are forbidden from taking mortal life. It has always been this way since the very beginning. He begins to beg for his daughter's life, pleading for the laws of angels to apply to me. They do not apply to me. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you, Ulma, Runa's lad is in the lowest level of the palace. We don't go in there anymore. All the information regarding the Dryads is there. Please let my baby go. As he says those words, two of my quests update, one is about Ulma, Runa, and the other is about the Dryads. I look at them as I keep the daughter in my hands. Quest, the false one. Description: you have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads, and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make. Only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1, expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Not available. Objective 2, find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancient's world. In progress. Objective 3, now that you are in Belvia, finding the right person to talk to is important. How you do this is up to you. Completed. Quality, legendary. Rewards, hidden. Quest, an abomination. Description: find the research and notes of Ulma, Runa on her development of the curse. Objective 1, find Ulma, Runa's lab in Belvia's capital completed. Objective 2, go to the lowest level in the palace and find what you are looking for in Ulma, Runa's lab. In progress. Objective 3, once you have the relevant information, this quest will be completed, and the quest, the false one, will be updated. In progress. Quality, epic. Rewards, hidden. I let the girl go, and she falls to the ground gasping for air. While that was very savage, it was the quickest solution. The crew should be getting done with everything right about now. I look down at the king as he rushes the steps to check on his favorite child. That wasn't so hard, now was it? We would have never come to this point if you had spilled it sooner. He looks at me in anger and disapproval. How far the mighty fall, I should do something about how this place is being run. Just to set it in stone, you don't mess with me. I'm only going to say this once, Kleeger. If Belvia doesn't change, I will return and kill all of you. As I say that, I turn my head and stare at all the corrupt nobles. Many look down, trying to avoid eye contact. They know what they have done. I'm actually in a good mood now, so I think I'm going to do all the people of Belvia a favor. I draw my sword and flex my wings. On second's thought, all of you will die. Nothing better to start with than a clean slate. Consider this your mercy, Kleeger. You'll have to undo all the damage you have done. You won't have the support of these corrupt nobles now. Sally reaches for my sleeve, but I launch forward from the top of the steps before anyone can react. I slice and dice every noble present. After I'm done, there is nothing but a pool of blood, organs, and body parts. The guards in the room drop their weapons and run from the palace. You only have one last chance, Kleeger, don't screw it up. He looks at me in horror as I'm covered in his friends' and allies' blood. I look at Sally, and she turns her head and looks away from me. Where is the path to Runa's lab? The king points to a door on the left side of the room with a shaky hand. I begin walking towards it, and Sally reluctantly follows. I can tell she is not happy about what I just did. She might change her feeling about me after that. They were the type of nobles she hates and wanted to kill. However, she is smart enough to know how important they are to an economy. We walk in silence down the stairs to the lowest levels. You didn't have to do that, you didn't have to be so cruel, she speaks her mind as we quietly walk down the stairs. I take a small breath and prepare my answer. Being cruel and being capable of cruelty is different, Sally. I'm not a cruel person. I'm just capable of being cruel. Sometimes, that's the only solution to a situation like this. She stays quiet at my answer, but I can tell she disapproves of it. The human half of me, the one that is the most useful for dealing with people like Kleeger. I'm not going to apologize for that. It was needed. Chapter 195, Runa's lab. We make it to the lowest level and see a single door at the end of the hall the stairs lead into. It's finally almost to an end, all this work and effort. Sally still isn't speaking after what I did in the throne room. I don't know if she'll ever get over that, but that is something that I can live with. We walk up to the door and knowing Runa. It's probably booby-trapped. Stay behind me, Sally. I don't know what kind of traps there are here. She nods her head silently, and I look at the door carefully as we finally stand in front of it. It doesn't look like it's aged a day. This door is older than anyone in this city. I don't know what secrets are beyond this door, but it's time to find out. I don't sense any magic coming from the door. I use inspect on it, and I get little information. Door to Runa's lab. Description: a door that hasn't aged a day since the time of Runa. Beyond this door is a lab where Runa conducted experiments and developed the curse on the Dryads. It doesn't say it's trapped. I place my hand on it, and nothing bad happens. I push the door open, and as I do, lanterns automatically turn on. I doubt there are any traps left. They should have been disabled years ago. The curiosity of this place would attract the now king. Learning it was trapped, he would have it taken care of so he can look around. I take a step into the room, and nothing happens. It's safe to say there are no traps here anymore. It doesn't look a single day old. Flint's old apprentice sure did know her stuff. Let's see if we can find what we are looking for. Check for anything that could be related to curses. The quests I have definitely hint at the answers being all here. All we have to do is find them. Sally walks off to a bookshelf without saying anything. I think I'm going to be getting the silent treatment for a while. I let her go and do what she needs to make her feel better. I walk over to what looks to be her desk. I sit in her chair and sit in her world for just a second. Now, where would I hide my secret evil curses if I was an insane magician? I bring my hand under the desk and feel around for any secret levers, but nothing sticks out. Runa would use something involving magic, not a secret lever. I open the drawers to her desk and see documents that aren't related to the situation. I pick one up and start to read it to get a feel for what was generally kept in this drawer. What I read is what I love: lore. Early developments on magic-enhanced crops. I have done as my king requested and searched for ways to increase food production for our growing kingdom, while my results have produced some positive effects. Nothing worthwhile in terms of volume and quality has been shown. I don't complain about the things I'm assigned to do. They pay me a lot. I'll admit this was a little dull though. Hopefully, future projects will be more interesting. Signed UR. She used her initials instead of her name. This must have been documented before any developments on the curse for the Dryads began. I place the document back in the door and lean back in the chair. I fold my hands behind my head and notice that my wings take up a lot of space here. I toggle them off for now, and I focus back on the task at hand. As I'm looking at the ceiling, I notice a square spot above my head that looks a little different from the rest of the pattern. As if it has been messed with and adjusted from time to time. I use inspect on it, and it comes back as nothing more than a regular ceiling piece. That is strange, though. I stand up and jump up to it. I punch through the rocky surface, and my arm enters an empty space. She found a way to hide things from the inspectability. Don't trust the inspectability, Sally. It doesn't fully work in this room. I say out loud while breaking the rest of the ceiling apart. As I do, several boxes and scrolls hit the desk and ground below me. Once I'm certain I have everything out of the little hiding spot, I let go and easily land back on the ground. I pick up the documents and scrolls and place them on the desk. I begin reading them, but they are reports and research on automated security defenses. There are even some old sketches. They are similar looking to the machines on guard on the walls. She must have had something to do with the early iterations. I continue reading until I come across an interesting document. A strange request from the new king. He has halted my research into the automated defense systems and asked me to look into the Dryad people. He didn't say why, but it's not my job to ask him questions. What I have learned about the Dryads is they are a very old and powerful people. Most importantly is their developments in magic and connection to all of nature. They are a living, thinking, and breathing part of nature. Even if their armies should fail, they can always call on the forests and animals for help. There has recently been a large increase in tension with the Dryads. It's easy to see that is why the king asked me to look into them. I shuffle through other papers trying to find any that follow this one, but I have no luck. I read some other documents on other interesting things, but not enough to mention. I found something over here. Sally draws my attention from reading, and I turn to look at her. As I do, she waves me over to come and check it out. I stand up from the chair and make my way over. Once next to her, she points to another hidden compartment that doesn't quite fit in. I ball my fist and punch a hole into it too. I rip the rest of the rock out, and a couple of boxes of documents reveal themselves. I pick them up and take them back to the desk. This time Sally helped me read through them too. As I'm reading, I come across the document that I need. New developments on a curse. The king has asked me to develop a curse that is strong enough to kill an entire species. While it's impossible to do so, we can remove them from the picture with ease. My old mentor told me that any curse could be broken, but the king doesn't need to know that. I have done some interesting research on sleep curses and pocket dimensions. I'm going to see if this applies to my research. I scrounge through the boxes looking for the document that follows this one, and I find it. I begin to read it, and it goes through her process. I have to keep searching through documents. After reading 9 pages, I finally find the last one. It goes into detail on how it's going to be applied and what'll happen. Then I see the way to break the curse. I have to find the original body the curse was placed on and cleanse it. I already know who the original body was, Princess Eleanor. She is likely still in that boss chamber I didn't go into because I wasn't strong enough. As I finish putting it together, both of my quests update. I open the quests to see what has changed. Quest, the false one. Description, you have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads, and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make. Only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1. Expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Not available. Objective 2. Find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancient's world. Completed. Objective 3. Now that you are in Belvia, finding the right person to talk to is important. How you do this is up to you. Completed. Objective 4. Use the potion to cleanse Princess Eleanor in the boss room at the ruins of the Dryads. In progress. Quality, Legendary. Rewards, Hidden. Quest, an abomination completed. Description, find the research and notes of Ulma Runa on her development of the curse. Objective 1, find Ulma Runa's lab in Belvia's capital completed. Objective 2, go to the lowest level in the palace and find what you are looking for in Ulma Runa's lab. Completed. Objective 3, once you have the relevant information, this quest will be completed, and the quest, the false one, will be updated. Completed. Quality, Epic. Rewards, the potion to cleanse Princess Eleanor. I don't get any EXP from an abomination being completed, but I get an important piece to finish my legendary quest. I check my inventory, and there is a potion there. I read its description, and it's basically saying it's the unique potion to cleanse Princess Eleanor. We're done here, Sally. Let's go back up into the palace and go around the city till nightfall. We'll meet the crew at the location outside the city once nightfall hits. Despite her frustration with me, I see her crack a smile. Chapter 196, The People of Belvia. We leave the old lab and begin to climb the stairs. I turn my wings back on to keep up my angelic look. Now that the quest, an abomination, is finished. All I have left to finish is the false one. I didn't think I'd ever get the chance to complete a bona fide legendary quest. I need to address the elephant in the room. Sally is still mad at me for what I did in the throne room. I told you that you'd eventually see the human in me. I also warned you that it could change how you feel about me. I'm not going to apologize for my actions. They were what was needed. I'll understand if you don't want to be around me anymore. As I say that final sentence, I feel Sally grab my shoulder and actually pin me against the wall. I could have resisted, but she needs this. She removes her hood, and our eyes meet. I can see anger, pain, betrayal. The most prevalent are her tears. They fall freely to the ground. Don't you ever say that. You hear me? Don't ever say something like that. Her voice cracks and breaks as she speaks. Watch even more tears fall, and more pain spreads across her expression. How could you even think that? I can't imagine my life without you. She buries her face in my chest, and lets go of my shoulders. She brings her hands up and places them on my chest with her face. I never want to cause someone I care about pain like this, but sometimes it can't be avoided. I wrap one arm around her back and the other around her head and hug her. As I do, her crying gets harder. I let her take all the time she needs. This reminds me that I ended up in the hospital after getting hit by a car on my bike when I was a kid. I didn't suffer any life-threatening injuries, just broken bones and bruises. Mom was the first one at the hospital. Apparently, she ran every red light to get to me. She got a big fat ticket a few days later. When she saw me in that hospital bed covered in bandages and casts, she had a fit. First, she was worried and asking me question after question. After I explained everything to her and she calmed down, she got really mad. I never had her yell at me like that before in my entire life once Dad arrived. She was even angrier with him. He was supposed to be watching me. This was before Marcus was born. I didn't tell Dad I was leaving to ride my bike, so he was pretty mad. He didn't get a chance to yell at me because Mom was too busy yelling at him. Thinking back to that memory makes me smile. I'm sorry for saying that, Sally. I should have thought longer on that. She looks up from my chest, and I see her puffy blue-green eyes. I didn't know that I could hurt someone so much with words. I never really held conversations long enough to find out. Another lesson learned. She backs up while drying her eyes and cleans the snot she left of my chest piece. After drying her eyes, she looks at me with a very tiny grin. I think that's a good sign, but I don't know. She tells me that as long as I never say that again, she'll be okay. Sounds easy enough. We continue walking up the stairs, and this time it isn't full of so much tension. After climbing several flights, we open the door back into the throne room. I step into it, and there are new soldiers and commanding officers of the military investigating the bloodbath. Klieger is on the other side of them. He and his daughter look at me. All I see is total fear. Everyone in the room sees me enter. They all stare at my title and wings, not moving an inch. The first to step forward is a general I didn't see here earlier. He must have just arrived. Do you have any idea what you just did? He continues walking forward. I'm not going to be the one intimidated here. I burst forward in speed they can't react to, and I pinned him to the ground hard with my right wing. He tries to get free, but it's no use. He stares up at me with contempt. I have freed the people of Belvia, freed your government from the corruption of nobles. I have the mind to kill the entire hierarchy here in Belvia, but I know that would make Belvia crumble without proper leadership. You should be thanking me, nameless general. Belvia has a chance to evolve from the pit it has become. He looks at me with slight shame. He is a part of all this, to be sure. I can't kill them all though. The people beyond this palace have no idea how to run a country. I would be dooming them to another country's mercy. I doubt Belvia has any allies willing to do such things, to absorb a failure such as all this. Hopefully, they will make a change. I stop pinning the general, and we start walking to the big doors that lead outside. There is nothing left in the palace that we need. Once outside, the crowd at the gate to the palace grounds has increased in size. The whole town looks to be waiting. I begin walking to the gate while Sally right behind me, and as I approach, whispers and talks break out. I can see that there are mothers and fathers with their sick kids. The same can be said about kids bring their sick mothers and fathers. Once I make it to the gate, I can see the desperate looks on many faces. I pick up Sally with one arm and leap us over the gate and giant crowd. I bring us down to the empty street. The crowd turns and quickly swarms. I can hear many voices saying move or get out of the way. I stand still and wait. I can leave these people with one more gift. As the sick are in front of me, I can see the begging looks on their guardians, all of them on their hands and knees in tears. Bring your sick in front of me. They dart their heads up in hope. They follow the commands and gently lay their sick in front of me. I spread my wings wide open as I stand in the center of the sick lying on the ground. I use my healing skill that is only active when I have my title out. My wings shine with golden and white energy. Every single sick or healthy person around me is affected by the magic. After about 10 seconds of channeling the power, I stop and look at the sick. They all look to be in perfect health now and slowly begin to wake up. Many rush their loved ones I have just healed. I look around, and many people want to reach out and touch me. They pull their hands back in hesitation before they do. People of Belvia. All the people around me and the surrounding crowd listen. The nobles that have been corrupting your city and neglecting all of you are dead. This is your people's chance to change this city and country for the better. Hold the king and his soldier responsible. Make them make changes. If they fail to do so, I will return and finish them off. I finish my announcement to the people. Many begin clapping and cheering, and the ones that don't get on their knees and praise the Almighty Father. Belvia has a chance now. Hopefully, they won't screw it up. I start walking towards the center of the city, where a famous fountain and teleportation gate lies. I know for a fact that the Holy City is sending people here. I should greet them. Nightfall is still several hours off. As Sally and I walk the path to the city center, the crowd continues to follow us. I can see it in the distance as we get closer and as my eyes land on it. I can see soldiers and officers coming out of the gate wearing the church's armor. They look in our direction and see me. Many go ridged. This is going to be my first official encounter with them. I watch some highly decorated general come out of a tent and look towards the coming crowd and me. He barks orders to his soldiers in a hot fury, and many scramble. Once we are within talking distance of each other, he orders his men to put a perimeter around the city center. Soldiers push the crowd back and stand guard. I stare at the man, and he stares at me. After a second, he gets on one knee and puts a hand on his heart, and lowers his head. "It's an honor to meet you, my lord. I'm High General Oliver Blaker of the Church's Army, one of 4 High Generals. The highest-ranking official, Saintess Lucy, must be busy on a mission somewhere. He must want to talk, and I have many things to say to the Church. Hopefully, I can get a chance to say them." Chapter 197, Unexpected Moment. General Oliver Blaker stands up from his kneeling position and waits for me to talk. "I'm going to make this quick. I want you to relay a message to whoever is in charge. Stop looking for me. It's incredibly annoying and inconvenient to my quests. If the Church doesn't stop, there will be consequences." Oliver Blaker's face morphs and is plastered with worry. "Ever since I got my hands on my class, they have been trying to find me and complicate things for me. I'm frankly sick and tired of it, and I want them to stop. Telling them straight up should be enough for them. If it isn't, then I will need to find a way to make them leave me alone permanently. I'm not going to kill them. It'll be worse. I'll publicly denounce them for their past crimes." Oliver Blaker looks towards a big tent with worry. "I'm guessing they have some meeting set up in there." "My lord, I don't have the authority to answer that for you. Please, come with me into the tent so you can directly speak to the Church." What I said wasn't a question. I give him a hard look, and he closes his eyes with nervousness all over his body. He is doing a bad job of trying to convince me to talk to these people. How can someone be a general in the greatest army on Gaia with this type of personality? Completely and totally submissive, a dog at the beck and call of the Church heads. I draw my blade and flex my wings. Since he is so weak-willed, I'll intimidate him into doing what I said. He sees all this, and I can see the fear on his face. I lift the tip of my blade and line it up at his Adam's apple. "Tell them." I watch this worm of a man lose any will he has left, and he backs up from my blade and slumps down onto his knees. I sheath my blade and spread out my wings in further intimidation. If the Church doesn't stop pursuing me, I will personally handle the situation. I hope they all learn how insignificant they truly are, and you will be the one to tell them this. I'd wish you good luck, but being sent after me shows luck isn't on your side." He looks up from the ground, and I see the sick-looking expression on his face. I turn around and begin to walk away. As I'm doing this, I see the crowd off in the distance, trying their hardest to get past the soldiers. The obsession people have with me. It's not something I ever want to experience again. It'll be unavoidable in certain places. Sally and I look at each other. I can tell she is as tired of the crowd as I am, even when her head is covered. I flex my wings and hold out an arm. She walks up to my side and wraps her arms around my body, and I wrap my arm around her. I launch us off the ground and fly towards the taller buildings in the city. I look down, and I see the people start running to keep up. Once over a tall enough building, I land us gently, and I let go of Sally. We can relax up here until nightfall. I'm tired of dealing with the horde of people. They can bother the people in this building for all I care. Sally chuckles at my attitude. We find a comfortable spot on the roof and take a seat. I toggle my wings off, so they don't get in the way. Sally leans against me as we watch the passing of the clouds. It's early evening, so we still have lots of time. We can use that time to talk. There are some things we need to address. That can wait a few minutes though, just relaxing for right now sounds good. So once we free the Dryads, do you plan on doing anything to celebrate? Sally asks me a question I haven't thought about. She has a very tired voice. I never thought about a celebration once the Dryads are free. They'll probably have a lot of questions, mainly about Belvia. They'll be coming back still in their time of conflict, even though it's already been thousands of years. I place my hand on her back, and I slowly rub it. She needs to stop thinking, just for a moment. She snuggles closer as I do. Probably not. It'll be chaos for them for a while, catching up and finding out how much the world has changed since their time. I don't envy them at all. They have incredible tasks ahead of them. A party would be the very last thing on their list. I explain my thoughts in a low and relaxed breath. A calm breeze washes over us, and the quietness of the now is much welcomed. Soon, we'll be getting your revenge on the elves. How do you feel about that? Complex things like that shouldn't be assumed about. I want to hear what she is feeling about this. It won't be easy on her, no matter how much she hates them. Sally stays quiet, pondering her answer. She might not have thought about it much. I'm nervous and excited. I feel wrong at being happy that I get to hurt them for all the things that happened to me. My mother and I suffered so much because of them, because of the royal family and nobles. The thought of killing them. It excites me. Am I evil for feeling this way? This poor girl has been holding in a lot. I rub her back up and down in a greater motion, showing my support. She starts to shake ever so slightly. I should have asked her about this sooner. She has probably been at battle in her head with these thoughts and feelings. Many would tell they are wrong, but I won't. After everything she has been through, she has every right to feel this way. I do something I never do. I lean down and kiss her forehead. I pull away and lightly sigh. I think it's perfectly fine to feel and think that way after what you have gone through, Sally. It's not evil. It's right. I watch her raise her head, and I see tears in her eyes. She raises her left hand and runs her fingers along my cheek and then through my hair. She brings her face closer to mine and slowly starts to close her eyes. I match her actions and close my eyes as well. Seconds later, our lips gently connect, and a warmth spreads through me. We hold the kiss, and she slowly moves her mouth in a very nice motion. I do my best to match, and we keep the slow movement until we pull away to catch our breath. I have no doubt I've got some red cheeks after that. I open my eyes slowly, and I meet the half-lidded eyes of Sally. She has a deep blush and is taking deep breaths. She brings her other hand up and into my hair for full control. She starts the kiss again, and this time it has much more movement. I feel the tip of her tongue graze my front teeth asking for access. I open my mouth slightly, and she starts using her tongue to explore my mouth lightly. I catch on, and I gently rub my tongue against hers. After a second, the tips of our tongues connect, and a lovely sensation runs down my back. I feel Sally stiffen up as she leans against my chest. We repeat the action, and the pleasure only increases. I feel my pants growing tighter, and that's when I gently pull Sally away. A string of saliva stretches between our mouths. We both take very deep breaths and stare into each other's eyes. Both our eyes are half-lidded at this point. I'm sorry I stopped us. I take a couple more breaths. Things were escalating really fast. This isn't the place to do that, not on a roof, you know. She lightly nods her head in agreement. I feel her fingers run through my hair in a circular motion, making a mess of my black hair. I get goosebumps as I feel her nails run along my scalp. I'm having a hard time fighting the urge not to do it up here. If we don't stop now, I don't think I'll care if we do. She leans forward again and starts kissing me more. I guess that means she doesn't mind either. At least, I think it does. I'm not sure, though. She shifts her body and straddles me. I feel her sit on my hardening rod, and it both hurts and feels good. I toggle my wings on and wrap them around us so we do have some privacy. I don't know how far this will go. Now we have some privacy, though. My wings are big enough to cocoon us in darkness completely. Her hands travel the bottom of my chest piece, and she tries to remove it. I quickly unequip it with my mind, and I feel her run a hand along my defined muscles. Another shiver runs up and down my spine. I'm no longer going to try and resist. Chapter 198, Meeting Up with the Crew. Sally calmly puts her clothes back on, and I equip mine. Using the wings for covering us was rather smart, but sadly, she has started her period. Talk about bad timing. I look at her and see the sheer embarrassment on her face. There is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just how the human body works. It's okay, Sally. I understand that it's embarrassing for you, but I don't think anything of it. It's a natural process, and we have to abide by it. She looks at me with a red face and slightly puffy cheeks. I could never fully understand what happens during the menstrual process, but being supportive is what I know how to do. She turns away from me as she puts the last of her clothes on, and I crack a tiny smile. Her reaction was cute. I shouldn't say that, though. I keep my wings out, and now that we don't have a way to burn the time, we have a lot of free time before we meet up with the guys. I'm sorry that happened. She talks very quietly, almost inaudible. I walk up behind her and hug her. It's the only thing I can think of doing. She buries her face in my forearm and stays quiet. I rest my head on top of hers and hold her. She raises her face out of my forearm and looks off in the distance. One of my only times of peace when I was a slave was when I started my period. I wasn't used as much. Nobles and merchants don't like getting blood on them. Some preferred it though. I close my eyes. A pang of pain echoes in my heart. Sally has been through so much, and this happening probably brought up bad memories. I let her go and stand at her side. I'll never let anything like that ever happen to you, Sally. You have power and skill, enough to kill anyone who would try something like that. You can stop anything like that too, and I know that if your mother could see the woman that you have become, she would cry tears of joy. If a parent couldn't be proud of a person like Sally, they aren't a real parent. Sally locks her fingers with mine and leans on my shoulder. I would have loved to meet your mother. The strength she demonstrated shows up in you. I see her chin start to quiver, and her eyes begin to water. I didn't mean to make her cry, but I think she needs to hear this. She turns her face and buries it in my shoulder as I feel her tears soak through my sleeve. I let her cry and lean on me. I bring her in front of me and wrap my arms around her. She wraps her around mine and continues to cry into my chest. I stare off into the distance as we stand on the building, and my desire to help her get revenge grows every time I hear her voice wail in pain. She can cry and hug me for as long as she wants. My father once told me that if a woman trusts you and loves you, she will lean on you in her weakest moments. A man will stay strong in these moments. I never thought I'd get a chance to be that man for a woman, but now that I am, I can say with certainty I love being that man for Sally. I don't know what that means in the long run or what it means now. I should say one more thing that she needs to hear. I hug her a little tighter, and I take a small breath. I love you, Sally. I feel her squeeze me hard after I say those words. I never thought I'd see that day when I would say those words to anyone other than my family. I spread my wings, and I pick her up in my arms. She keeps her face buried, and I launch us off the ground and into the air. I take us deep into the forest and away from the city of Bellvia. Once I see a comfortable-looking spot, I bring us down and land. The privacy of the forest will do much better than a rooftop. The rest of the crew is fine. Once nightfall comes, they'll leave the city, and we'll all meet up at the location. Right now, it's Sally's time. She has stopped crying, but I can tell she is still in pain. I let her go for a minute at most so I can set up the tent. Once I do so, I hold the entrance of it open so she can crawl in. She does, and I toggle my wings off and follow her inside. We lay down on the soft furs and relax on the pillows. She snuggles once fully settled in. I love you too, XVIII, she responds, and I smile. We lay in silence for a while, and after a little bit, Sally is asleep. Everyone feels tired after highly emotional stress. When I was a kid, I would sleep after crying for a bit. The only times I cried were when I got hurt and only when it was bad. I find myself falling asleep too. I've gone more than 20 hours without sleep. I can afford to take a small nap right now. I close my eyes and fall asleep a minute after. The time passes slowly, and I get a lot of deep rest, and after about 6 hours of sleep, I wake up. I look out the tent, and the sun is just starting to set. I look at Sally, and she is still sleeping deeply. I lay my head back down. Still, about an hour before we meet up with the crew, I almost forgot to do something. I open my player interface, and I deactivate my title and make it hidden again. Now that I don't need it, I don't see the point in keeping it active. I see some of the special active skills I got from the title disappear from the section they reside in. It's nice to know that something like that exists for me. Powerful healing skills and other things granted by a title. The thought of my stagnation in leveling and skills creeps into my mind. I look at my skills and level again to see where everything is. Slayer, XVIII, LVL.90. EXP, 1/100%. Title, The Son of Archangel Michael, hidden, +3 more. Stats. Strength, 2095 Endurance, 2045 Dexterity, 2215 Speed, 2240 Focus, 14660. Mana Aura Control, 5/100%. Health, 16,560,000,000/16,560,000,000 Mana, 146,600,000,000/146,600,000,000. Stat points, 0 Armor Rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver and Overachiever. Active skills. Heaven's Light LVL.9325/900 protected by Heaven LVL.9225/900/LVL.224600/13000 Parry LVL.380/300 Double Strike /A King Slayer /A Raging Machine /A Winged Glory Angelic Flight Divine Pressure Exertion Divinity Pulse Controlled Fun. My best skills are so close to leveling up. Most of the power I have is thanks to all the achievements I have gotten. Being the first to do certain things has caused my stats to blow past the norm, and now my health and mana are untouchable compared to normal people and players. I look to my side, and I see the witness just sitting there. My greatest weapon. I stole this from Pesticide. He was the one to get it originally. Doubt he is alive too. I'll never get the chance to meet them and apologize for taking their destinies and making them my own. What time is it? Sally shifts as I'm brought out of my thoughts. I watch her lean her head up and rub the gunk out of her eyes. I look at her slight bed head and crack a smile. It's not time to go yet. I'll wake you up before we have to leave. You should try and keep sleeping. She looks at me with one eye and plops back down. She snuggles back in, and I enjoy the feeling of having her next to me. All the power and knowledge I took for myself, both great, evil and good, have come from it. The one I treasure the most is Sally. One day, I'll have to tell the truth to someone. I don't know what kind of repercussions I'll have to deal with once the truth is known. I won't run away from them as J and X have. They are still out there too, probably living in hiding with their families. The same goes for the world leaders that have come to Gaia. Who knows what all these secretive people and schemers are doing if they ever show their faces. A lot of people are going to demand blood. Billions of people have died and lost their loved ones. That puts a special kind of hate in someone's heart, and it's not an easy one to get rid of. All I can do is cross those bridges when I get to them. Chapter 199, Meeting Up with the Crew 2. I make my way out of the tent as Sally continues to sleep. I look in the direction of the setting sun and sit down on a log. The more I think about the next step, the more I realize how much lies beyond the horizon. Once the Dryads are free, the state of Gaia will change, and not to mention the current war with monsters, right now. I bet many players have reached the level to participate in the war and are doing so. There is the old gods and whatever they are planning. Who knows when that storm comes? The future is undetermined, and it's safe to say that it's futile to try and predict it. I lower my head and stare at the ground. When everything with the Dryads is finished, it'll be time to help Sally. So I probably won't be able to visit Amelia in Zenith. I pull up Sally's quest to read it again. Sally's past. Description: help Sally in her quest for vengeance against all the men that tortured and sexually assaulted her growing up. Help her punish the Elven Kingdom for their ways. Objective 1: when the time comes, Sally will ask you for your direct help in this matter. Completed. Objective 2: once everything is done with your quest involving the Dryads, ask Sally what the first step in her revenge is. In progress. Rewards: unknown. Difficulty: legendary. Note: the great difficulty of this quest is the goals that Sally has set in revenge. If they weren't so great, then the difficulty wouldn't be so high. Sally is going to need my help on this, facing the men who did what they did. It won't be easy, so I'll be there to lean on if she needs me. After a couple of minutes, I hear shuffling from the tent, and Sally comes out. She smiles at me and walks over. She sits next to me on the log and rests her head on my shoulder. What's on your mind? You have that look on your face. The one that tells me you are thinking about something really important? I didn't even know I had a look like that. I contemplate if I should talk to her about what we are going to do about her revenge. The sunset is really beautiful. There was a time in my life I only dreamed I could have something like this. A life she is tugging on my heartstrings pretty hard, and my desire to help her grows even more. I lean back on her, and I take a small breath. I was thinking about our first step once we free the Dryads. Since we'll be getting revenge for what happened to you, we'll need a plan to take on a royal family as powerful and influential as the elves. I also have a favor to ask. She looks at me, waiting for me to continue. I'd like to stop by Zenith after we are done with the Dryads. Amelia is there, and I'd like to see her after all this time. She smiles and nods her head. So the plan is to free the Dryads, visit Amelia in Zenith, and plan Sally's revenge. I'm excited about what the dice of Wayland do. They are supposed to be important to whatever the future holds. I open the quest about the heist, so I can review the information again. Heist of Belvia's treasure vault. Description: break into Belvia's treasure vaults and retrieve the dice of Wayland. Objective 1: once in Belvia, find a group that can help you pull off the heist. Completed. Objective 2: meet at the location and retrieve the dice of Wayland from the crew. In progress. Difficulty: legendary. Rewards: anything you can take from the vaults other than the dice of Wayland. The plan went off without a hitch too. I got the information to free the Dryads. I finished the quest an abomination. The amount that we have gotten done shows that everything and anything can be done if you put in the work and make smart decisions. Mind answering a question for me too? I nod my head and wait for her to ask. I'm curious about your sword. I've come to learn it's very special, but that's about it. I understand if you don't want to talk about it, but it's truly a beautiful work of art. I laugh a little at her words. Most would say it's very intimidating for a sword. It affects people, and that usually causes people to keep their distance once it comes out of its sheath. I stand up and draw it from its sheath. I hold the handle out for Sally to grab it. She does, and I let go. The same thing that happened to Haley happens to Sally. It drags her to the ground like a ton of bricks and squishes her fingers. Pick it up, you dummy. It's crushing my fingers. I do as she asks, and I lift it and take it in a single hand. You must be crazy strong if you can even lift that thing. It wouldn't even budge when I used all my strength to lift it. That's because it's bound to me, and it's very attached to me. Where did you even find that thing? I've heard you call it the witness. That's all I've come to learn, though. I take a breath preparing the story for her. She will enjoy the early times of me chasing power and enjoy the struggles I've had so far. I relax and begin to speak. It's a legendary sword that used to belong to the sword Saint Monrel. I completed his trial, and this was the reward. It has a very rich history. I would tell you what I know about the blade, but there isn't enough time for the full story. We should get a move on to the meeting location since it's starting to get dark. She nods her head, and I sheath my sword. I walk over to the tent and pack it up, and put it in my inventory. The location we are meeting the crew is an old abandoned mine several miles from the city. It'll take less than a minute to get there at full speed, but I'd like to go slow today. Hence why we are leaving early. I toggle my wings on, and I kneel on the ground so that Sally can climb onto my back. Worldwide announcement: the city of Belvia is chaos. Not only has the son of Archangel Michael, XVIII, visited the city and healed many sick people along with the brutal murder of nobles. In addition, the treasure vault has been robbed of many valuable items. Not only that, but the palace in Belvia was holding fugitives, and they were found dead in their rooms after XVIII left the palace. World mission: Belvia is offering a 10 million gold bounty to any information of the mysterious robbers. World mission: the Church of the Dark Ones has offered a huge increase to all their rewards for the capture of XVIII and delivery to them. As Sally settles in, a world announcement goes off. It looks like everything is starting to come out. Once the Dryads are free, even more heat will be coming Belvia's way, and nothing can stop that. Let's get a move on. I'll be flying us at a slower speed today. It'll be about an hour before we get to the meeting site, and let's enjoy the opportunity for a slow trip. I'll admit that I have grown a little tired of flying at full speed. Sally nods her head, and now that she is all settled in, I flex my wings and launch off the ground. I reach the clouds and slow down to around 30 miles per hour. Sally snuggles close and relaxes on my back. I look down at the passing dark forest, and the night sky is just starting to pop out. Sally hums a little melody, and it relaxes me. We both couldn't care less about the world announcement. The relationship we have developed means a lot to me, and I'm not a mushy guy. I find open expressions of love very difficult to do, and that is something that I'm working on. It helps that Sally is similar in this regard. We are both coming to the new dynamic that has entered our lives with caution and taking time. While we have been intimate, it hasn't been insane. It has been within comfortable boundaries for both of us, and that means something. I don't know why Sally feels so right for me, but I'm not going to question it. It is what it is. The heart wants what it wants. All that I've come to understand about Sally is amazing in my eyes. Someone so special and unique, as well as strong-willed and willing to trust even after what she has been through. I look forward to the idea of spending my foreseeable future with her, and I think she might even feel the same way about me. Chapter 200, The Dice of Wayland. I look off into the distance and see the silhouette of the abandoned mining site in the moonlight. Sally and I have been flying for a few hours at a nice slow pace, enjoying the freedom of the sky. We are almost there. Time to find out what the Dice of Wayland actually do. Since we aren't flying so fast, there is no need to yell. I'm glad that I'm done in Belvia. I hope I never have to come back to it. I slowly bring us down in the dark and land in an opening in front of the mining site. As I land and let Sally off me, the main doors to the mining site open, and I see Ghost Zero. They did the job flawlessly, and I have no connection to them. He holds the door open, waiting for us to come in and join them. I toggle my wings off and start walking. We make it to the door and walk in. They have some lanterns burning on a table, giving light to the large open room and showing off the items they took from the treasure room. I see you guys went for a little extra. You guys can keep anything other than the dice of Wayland. I walk up to the table and see the many legacy class items they have taken. I see 2 blue dice, and they have white engravings that give it a mystical beauty. I gloss at all the other items, but the dice grabbed my attention the most. I lean on the table and look down at them. I hope it wasn't too hard for you guys to get what you wanted. Creator and Creature Man shake their heads in a no fashion. They got what they wanted, and I got what I wanted. I inspect the dice to see why I went through all this trouble. The dice of Wayland. Description: a pair of dice that the legendary blacksmith Wayland created for anything but playing games. The legendary smith needed a way to catalog all his greatest works and their locations. The dice of Wayland is actually an archive of the armor and weapons he has made and where he hid them. Be warned, though. To access this knowledge, you'll need to give a sacrifice: knowledge for knowledge, power for power. The dice of Wayland is an incredibly valuable item, but even with the steep costs to use the item, only a select few can and ever will use it. Special requirements: you must sacrifice personal power, knowledge, or items for the information contained in the dice of Wayland. Special requirements: you will need to have a blood connection to Wayland or other deities of overworld. Quality: divine. Durability: infinite. Bonus: since you wield the Witness, a weapon created by Wayland, the dice of Wayland boosts its stats and has unlocked more information. I blink my eyes in slight wonder. They may have the look of dice, but they are actually a map to all his works. Along with an archive of his works. Talk about an amazing item. It's the second divine item I have now, second to Fenrir's whistle. What are you going to do with that item? When I first inspected it, I was a little shocked that the Belvian royal family had something so valuable in their treasure vault. Creature Man asks me a question I don't really know how to answer. From the requirements to use, I'd say I'd never get a chance to use it, as I think I almost forget about the new notification regarding the Heist of Belvia quest. I see that it's now complete, and I read the information one last time before I forget about it. Heist of Belvia's treasure vault completed. Description: break into Belvia's treasure vaults and retrieve the dice of Wayland. Objective 1: once in Belvia, find a group that can help you pull off the heist. Completed. Objective 2: meet at the location and retrieve the dice of Wayland from the crew. Completed. Difficulty: legendary. Rewards: anything you can take from the vaults other than the dice of Wayland. I take a breath as the quest is no longer a priority anymore. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I never expected that the item would be something like this. I thought it would be some weapon or magic item that caused extreme boosts in power. The reality is much more than that. The knowledge locked in these dice is what nations would go to war for. I bet the Belvian royal family and whatever left of the nobles are freaking out now that this is gone. I place the dice into my inventory and look at the 3 men. I want to thank you all for your help. As I said, keep the rest of the items. If I ever do see you guys again, I hope it's as allies once again. They nod their heads in agreement. I turn towards Sally and tilt my head for us to leave. We walk towards the exit as I hear them begin to talk, not a serious one. One about what they'll do now that they've had their revenge. I can relate to them. Getting revenge for something horrible done to you or your loved ones is unavoidable sometimes. The transgressions upon you can be that great, and it's okay to take that revenge, which they have done. We stand in the middle of the mining yard and look up at the stars. There is one last thing I want to check before we leave for the ruins of the Dryads. I pull out the Witness from its sheath and hold it in front of me. I use Inspect on it and begin reading the new information revealed about it and the changes to it. The Witness. Description: a legendary sword that has been around since before recorded history. All the greatest and most influential people have wielded this blade. Empires have risen and fallen to, and for, this blade. It has been held by kings, queens, emperors, and empresses, along with sword saints of unparalleled power and recognition. The witness is the most powerful of the one-handed swords on Gaia. There is no blade better to wield. The construction of the witness isn't one known to all. Only a select few know its origins. It was crafted from the same divine metal as Durandal, Excalibur, and Caliban. They are considered siblings since they were made from the same metal ore. New information: the blacksmith that created the witness is no other than Wayland himself. Out of the all swords he created, the witness plays a special role. While warriors could wield it, its true power would be revealed when the son of Archangel Michael finally claimed it. More information will be revealed once you tear up. Quality: legendary. Durability: infinite. Damage: 52,000. Unique properties: has a very high chance to dismember limbs instantly. Has a very high chance to cause curse of decomposition. Description: areas attacked by curse of decomposition will rot away till they are cured or the target dies. Will always cause critical hit upon vital points struck. Will always ignore armor and defense ratings. This sword will gain more power every time you tear up. There is no required level to wield this blade. The witness resonates with your angelic blood. Plus 10,000 focus. A synergy has been created between the dice of Wayland and the witness. Damage has been raised to 52,000. It's a huge boost in purely damage. I can honestly say I didn't expect this information to be revealed. I'm now certain that something more is going on behind the scenes. It wasn't just chance that I found the world item. It was predetermined. Why it was is not known to me, and why I was chosen isn't known to me either. I sigh and sheath the sword. I toggle my wings on and kneel on the ground. Sally climbs on my back and snuggles up. I launch off the ground and go at a moderate speed of around 50 miles per hour. I'm not in a rush right now. We need downtime. I'll speed up the trip the day after tomorrow. I'm grateful to Creator, Creature a Man, and Ghost Zero. I wouldn't have gotten everything I needed and more without their help. I truly do hope the next chapters in their journeys are what they want. I was wondering if we could stop by a stream. I want to get cleaned up if possible, Sally whispers into my ear as she relaxes on my back. I don't see any problem with that. I nod my head and let her know the next time I see a stream. I'll bring us down. Zirn, thank you for helping me in my personal mission for revenge. I'm sorry that I've dragged you into it too. I chuckle to myself as she says that. I let the silence sit between us before I tell her it's okay and that I'll be there no matter what. We are a team and more importantly, important to one another.